Alrighty, I think we're going to get started here and people can jump on and off the call over the next hour. But hello everyone, my name is Jill Swanson. I'm Lamaze's Education Coordinator. And then we are also joined here by Sarah Langen and Wendy Trees-Schiffer. Sarah, you here?
Hi, thank you, Jill. My name is Sarah Langen and I am Lamaze's Operations Manager. And Wendy, did you want to introduce yourself as well?
Program Director for Lamaze, but also serve on the Education Committee as the Resources Chair. And it's our job to help provide this information to all of you.
Great, thanks. And so this is our third workshop. If you missed workshop 1 or 2, not to worry. They are recorded, they're available on YouTube. So far we've gone over some virtual teaching tips, did some Zoom 101, previewed some potential resources, and then last time we watched sample lessons. So in today's workshop, we're gonna spend some more time collaborating with one another to create an activity based on one of the 6 healthy birth practices. So before we begin here, I just wanna touch on 2 housekeeping items. Just as a reminder, we ask that you do mute your audio while presenters are speaking, just to limit the amount of background noise. But please do keep your cameras on. We love seeing your faces. If you're looking for the audio, so if you go, it's normally in the bottom lower left hand of your screen, and there's a little microphone icon you can click on and off. And then also as a tip for when you're in the breakout rooms today, if you all want to use the whiteboards, what you would need to do there is pretend like you are going to screen share. So you'd use that little green icon, the box icon, to start screen share, and then you can choose the whiteboard from there. And that's how multiple people can work on the whiteboard, or you yourself can work on the whiteboard when you are in the breakout room. So we're just going to start by checking in real quick. We asked this question a couple weeks ago when we started this series. We just want to know, how is your transition to virtual childbirth education going? So I just put the poll out there. Can you all confirm that you can see the poll? Oh yeah, okay, we're getting some votes. All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds here. We've got a spread. Okay, so it looks like we've got, a couple people who were teaching virtually prior to the pandemic. That's awesome. More people feel like they're getting the hang of it, or they're doing really well. And people are still working out the kinks, or it's just hard right now. And then some, none of the above. So we'll hope to hear from you guys later. Okay, so what today is gonna look like, we're doing a little welcome now. We're going to spend about 30 minutes in breakout rooms doing the 6 healthy birth practices activity. And then we're going to reconvene with the whole group and have some time for you all to share the lesson plans and lessons that you came up with. And then hopefully end with about 10 minutes of Q&A, time to reflect and talk about next steps. And then we're also gonna have a little survey monkey after that we'd like to deploy to get your feedback, to know how these workshops went for you, know how we can improve in the future, and really understand what you all need next to make this transition to virtual childbirth education. So I'm gonna pass it over now to Wendy Trees-Schiffer. She's going to talk a little bit more about the activity today.
Okay, thanks, Jill. Hi, everybody. So we're going to do something a little different today. Instead of you being passive and just listening to some of the ideas as we have had in the past, we feel like we've given ourselves some good foundations, some good ideas. What we'd like to do now is kind of turn it over to you and see what we can collaborate together and create together as a group. So let me explain the directions here, what we're going to do, and I think at the end of this, if it all works the way we're planning it to work, we're really going to have some great ideas. We know two things as educators. Number one, all of our brains together is way more beneficial than just one or two people leading the pack. Number two, the person doing the talking and the activity is the one learning the most. So instead of us being here and just talking at you, we're gonna let you jump right into that educator role and start participating here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna send you out into breakout rooms, okay? In those breakout rooms, you are going to create with your group a lesson plan that would be appropriate to use virtually for virtual learning. So you're gonna have to work on this together. The lesson plan should be, your breakout room is gonna correspond with one of the 6 healthy birth practices. So if you're in group number 1, breakout room number 1, you're going to work on a lesson plan surrounding healthy birth practice number 1. Same way if you're in group number 2, it's healthy birth practice number 2. Now, because we have such a large audience joining us today, which is fantastic, we need to have more than 6 breakout rooms. So what you'll do is to figure out if you aren't in room 1 through 6, let's say you're in room number 7 or 8, just count off by 6s. So healthy birth practice number 1, if you would be in group number 7, healthy birth practice number 2, if you'd be in group number 8, and I think you can figure out the rest. So do the math in your head. If you just count off by 6s, you'll know which healthy birth practice your group is going to work on. So the email that Jill was referencing has included in there a template for you to fill out. So one person in your group should be designated as the recorder or the secretary. And that person is going to be the person that fills out the form that was just emailed to you. I want you to put everyone's name on it, everybody that's in your group, unless somebody doesn't want their name on it, but try to include all their names. We're going to be collecting these and we're going to be sharing them all with you. So at the end of this, we'll have a great sense of additional resources for you to go out and teach if we all work together on this one. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me see if I've forgotten anything. As time allows, we're going to bring you back and hopefully we'll be able to share a couple of them. You know, like maybe each group might be able to do a 2-minute recap. Depends on how much time we've got left. So let me see, I just wrote myself some notes. You're going to submit your lesson plan, your group's lesson plan to education@lamaze.org, right, Jill? Okay. Okay, so again, you need to get that email. Here you go. This is what the email that Jill sent out. So we're going to look at the essential content for Lamaze Educators. So under healthy birth practice number 1, for example, let labor begin on its own. There are a lot of topics to cover under healthy birth practice number 1. So take a look through the list. And again, you can go ahead, Jill, if is there another slide for healthy birth practice 2 on there? If not, just check your emails. Pick something off of the list under your healthy birth practice. And you can, as a group, decide what you'd like to work on. Are there any questions before we send you off? No? Let me see. I don't know if anybody's checking the chat here. Let me check.
And also, if you all are having trouble with anything, if you do a hand raise while you're in the room, I can try to pop in and help out with anything technical.
Great. So this is what the lesson plan form looks like. Whoever you designate as the recorder will fill this out, save it, and submit it back to Lamaze. Feel free, anybody can fill this out. We only need 1 submitted, so not everybody from your group is going to submit this, just 1 of these per Lamaze. Crystal says she didn't get a blank one. So check your email, it was just sent out about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I sent it around 12:30. And if you don't have one, maybe check with the group members, see if they do. I'm going to push you guys into breakout rooms now. Let's say we're going to reconvene. So I'll close the breakout rooms around 1:38. So you guys have a little under 30 minutes in there.
Which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Okay. Good luck, everyone. All right, somebody who had healthy birth practice number 1, can you give us a quick recap of your group? You got like a minute or two to recap what you came up with. You have to unmute yourself and just speak up if you had healthy birth practice number 1.
Our group capitalized off of the assignment I think we did using a whiteboard, and we sort of renamed it in the context of dictionary. And we thought it would take about 20 to 30 minutes to execute in breakout room. And like we come back and report out, they would do the same with our expected levels.
Thank you. Excellent. Who had healthy birth practice number 2? Who would like to do a quick recap? Just go ahead and speak up.
I will.
Thank you.
We had the birth practice number 2. We were in group 8, so we did practice number 2. And first we did an introduction showing a little video on the Lamaze website on practice number 2. Then we used the pelvis model and the baby to show how the pelvis moves when you are moving throughout labor, and how the baby, how it facilitates the descent of the baby, and comfort measures, like why if you have back labor, how if you go into hands and knees or different positions where the baby and the pelvis shift, and then you get comfort measures. And then we demonstrated virtually some of the positions, and we went out to breakout rooms, 2 or 3 couples, so they would demonstrate each couple one position and say how they felt. And then when time to recap, we would come all together and they would give us the feedback.
Excellent. Thank you. Who had healthy birth practice number 3 and would like to give a quick recap?
This is Renese, and we had healthy birth practice number 3, and we decided we wanted to start with Lamaze's video on who says three's a crowd for a kind of an icebreaker, and then we wanted to do a Mentimeter word cloud of what do you think you will need for labor support, so moms could sort of define that for themselves. Then we wanted to do a matching game with the different roles and the different type of support they could give. We wanted to then go into a group discussion about how do they see virtual support happening, which is somewhat different than in-person support. And then we wanted to kind of end up with processing the whole idea to include mother's choice of support people so that she knew that it was her choice, and then highlight the benefits of labor support, going back to that Lamaze video we showed at the beginning. And then finally, we were going to end by giving them a homework assignment to go to evidencebasedbirth.com to find out more information about labor support and doula support.
Excellent. Oh, so great. Thank you. Who had healthy birth practice 4?
Okay, I'll go. This is Barbara. Okay, so I've taken down the notes. I'm sending it to the members of the group for their editing before I send it in. And we had, first of all, a little pre-work for the class to do. And we would send them a poll with a list of the interventions and tease out what their greater concerns were and which ones they wouldn't mind. And finding out how much they know and how much they want to know about these, even though we're going to give it to them anyway. Then we have a packet of information for them for the discussion. And one is, there are several lists, Rebecca Decker's lists, Family Ways list, Plum Tree, a list of interventions and the evidence behind them, and a little bit of, whether they're recommended or not. And that would lead into the discussion based on what they answered in the poll and what they've learned from the packet. And it would end up with questions to discuss with their provider, so that they had shared decision making and the brain.
Excellent. Thank you so much. What a great lesson. How about number 5? Anybody have healthy birth practice number 5?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Renee.
Hi. We had healthy birth practice number 5, and we talked about utilizing the pelvis in doing demonstrations, and even like just doing a double hip squeeze on how the baby is kind of falling through the pelvis. We talked about using a demonstration with the rebozo. We talked about maybe the most important thing is communication with your provider and letting them know up front that maybe you don't want to be the person that lays flat on their back to give birth, but don't get your provider thinking you're going to do something, hanging from the ceiling, but just, what options are open. And we talked about open and closed glottis and use the demonstration of the exhale breath, so that it complements your body and it's relaxing for your body. So pushing with the exhale breath. And the key thing was listening to your body. And then someone suggested that you print out the ACOG/Lamaze/WHO statement that correlated the 6 healthy birth practices, which all 3 organizations, and you gave them to your clients in class so that they can discuss that with their provider. And then we also talked about the support person's role, and that it was important to discuss what their role was going to be in each stage of labor and in pushing, so that the mother and the significant other knew where their roles were and what you wanted from them and what you didn't want from them, making it more personalized.
Thank you. Thanks so much. How about number 6? If you had 6, you'll need to unmute.
Hi, we had 6, and I took a few notes. We had keep mother and baby together. And let's see, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. So we talked about having as an objective building, birthing people's desire and confidence in their ability to keep mother and baby together. And we kind of focused on the magic or golden hour as the focus of the session. And there's a document titled The First Hour After Birth, the Baby's 9 Instinctive Stages. So that we will start with going over that, maybe introducing that content, and then having a group discussion, followed by discussing skin to skin and some of the importance of skin to skin using a video. We can stream that. If you're online, you can still stream your video by sharing your screen. Okay. And then we would maybe have opportunities for our participants to reflect on what their ideal magic hour would be, and how they would adapt if needed, but what would their ideal magic hour be, just reflecting on that with their family or birthing partner and others in the class. And we could do that in breakout rooms, similar to what we've been doing here in our workshops. And then last but not least, we would discuss informed consent and refusal, because that's kind of part of it, building their confidence and their abilities to kind of make things happen for themselves during birth, but reviewing informed consent and refusal, and then giving them an opportunity for role play. If I left anything out, well, anybody from the group can just jump right on in. Thank you.
We did bring up a little bit about COVID in the event that the mother was asymptomatic yet tested positive, to practice knowing that you may have a mask on and they could draw like love hearts or anything positive to turn that into a joyful experience. I don't know. Chime in, anybody else?
That's such a good point. Several of you talked about like, what does support look like here during COVID? This is a unique time, so it's great to incorporate that into your class for sure. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have a different, I know there were we had more than one group per healthy birth practice. Anybody else we miss and you want to share?
Something that I think I just read in the chat that it was helpful, that somebody wrote that there will be no face-to-face classes at their large medical system in Illinois and Wisconsin for the rest of the year, which wow. Where we're at in Indiana, we're going kind of like month by month, but the last projection we said at least 3 to 6 months on virtual classes, and I was wondering if anybody else was going back to face-to-face.
Not anytime soon from my health system is what we've been told. They've not told us specifically, but not yet.
Yeah, I think this is a great example of like, this is opportunity and doors are open wide for independent educators to jump on that. And so that's what our goal is here, to give you as many tools as we can so that you can meet the needs of the people in your community. There are far more babies being born than there are childbirth educators, even virtually. So somebody asked me recently, is the market saturated? And no, the market is not saturated. Babies will continue to be born.
I teach it in my home, and I teach one couple at a time sometimes. So I'm still doing face-to-face.
Great, great, great. Was this helpful for everyone? Yeah? Good.
Yes, very.
Good. All right, Jill.
And then we got another question here I wanted to raise about using the whiteboard. So someone was trying to use it in their breakout room, and they were able to use it as the person who was screen sharing, but then they were having an issue having other people actually write on their whiteboard. So I wanted to, one, hear if anyone else had this issue and how they resolved it. And then two, I would also say you might want to double check with Zoom, because sometimes they do have regulations there on like what version of Zoom you would need to be able to do that. But I want to hear from you all if this came up and if you all were able to resolve it. And I think, Andrea, were you going to share there?
Somebody also wants to know where the hand raise feature is.
Actually, I couldn't say, because normally I'm on the outside of breakout rooms.
I know. I answered that question for you.
It's up in the corner under more.
Thank you.
Yeah, so where the 3 dots are, if you go to more, it actually says ask for help. Or that's what mine did. So you could click on that. I didn't try it, but I looked for it.
On mine, it says reactions. So one is a clapping hand, and the other one's a thumbs up.
For me, I see raise hands under participants. So if I click on participants at the bottom, I see the raise hands option.
So in the breakout room, there was like 3 dots where you could get more. And in that place, that's where there was an option to say ask for help, which I think is what you were saying that we could do when we were in the breakout rooms. Right now, what y'all are seeing is, yeah, reactions are on the bottom and raise your hand as in participant.
Correct, yeah. And then I'll look to see if there's possibly a Zoom help video about that whiteboard question that you asked. I definitely recommend looking at Zoom's video tutorials. They're great. They kind of take you through step by step and you can see their screen. So I would say look there for resource with anything that comes up regarding Zoom. What other questions do you guys have? We have a couple more minutes and then I'm gonna roll through a couple reminder slides here at the end.
If you go to YouTube, you can click on, it's from Lamaze because it has the Lamaze label on it. You can click on the 6 healthy birth practices and play a little video from YouTube.
One of the questions in the chat is what's next? Because they're really benefiting from this, and I hope everybody's benefiting from this. What's next is we're going to ask you what's next, what you need, and we're just going to continue to build from there. If this was a good exercise and we'd like more of this type thing, then I'd love to be able to bring that for us.
Yeah, so that's going to be in the SurveyMonkey. And then if you all want to chime in here, feel free. We're trying to make sure that we get you guys resources that are useful to make the transition. So I really encourage you to use that SurveyMonkey to tell us how you're feeling.
Elena, did you have a question?
Yes, I would love if you could send us what we worked on, the different groups, because then we can get ideas on how different people resolve the same thing we're teaching. It would be great to have it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We don't care, just to get a glimpse on the ideas different groups had.
Yeah, and that's our goal for today.
Oh,
so
good.
You're all gonna hopefully get access to each other's. That's why we want you to email us the lesson so that we can get it to you. So now you all have more lessons to go out.
Thank you.
The email address is education@lamaze.org. Correct, Jill? Yeah, okay.
And then I just wanted to also remind everyone here that we've got Connecting the Dots blog for educators. There are new posts going up every few days. There's a really nice uplifting article that was published yesterday by Mindy Cockrum about some silver linings for birthing people during COVID-19. I recommend you check it out. Along with there's other posts about virtual childbirth education and really anything you can think of here. Also, we have these resources available to you. I know we've talked about it on some of the beginning workshops, but these are available from Lamaze for purchase. There's the 6 Healthy Birth Practices e-booklet for parents. So that was written specifically with parents in mind. It's sort of a Reader's Digest version of the 6 Healthy Birth Practices. Might be a good tool for you all to use if you wanted to do some assigned readings at home, or you want to send them off to read a little section about one of the 6 healthy birth practices. It would be a good tool for that. Also, we have the curriculum PowerPoint with all the essential content in it. That's a template that you can use. It's totally ready to go. You can teach with it, but also it's customizable, so you can move slides around and make it what you want.
And I have a request that I made already. Will it be possible to have it soon in Spanish?
That is definitely a project we would like to take on.
Great.
So yeah, that's, it's on our radar, and we can connect also afterwards, Elena, and we can talk a bit more about possible translations.
Great, yes, sure.
Okay, great.
I'm happy to help.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
So our next webinar in the Advocacy in Action series, here we've got an advocacy briefing and a little bit more about grassroots involvement with Molly Gianmarco and Jill Wadnick. That's coming up in about 2 weeks' time on June 11th. So we'd love to see you there. And of course, all the other webinars from the Advocacy in Action series are available on demand to watch now. So here is the email address. If you can email us your finished lesson plans to education@lamaze.org, what I will do is make a combined document of all of your lesson plans and then send it back out to everyone who's registered for the meeting today. So that way you have, you know, another 10 lesson plans ready at your fingertips. And then here is the link to the SurveyMonkey. If you all would just take a few minutes to go through it, we would love to hear your feedback. We want to know how this workshop experience was for you and how we can improve in the future, and really what to know what you need next. And then I think Linda Harmon, our CEO, is on here with just a quick note as well.
Sure, this was great to watch the interaction and the engagement in the small group that I was in for part of the time. It's really great, and I'm so glad that all of you are participating. One additional request and fun project that we are looking into, working with our licensing partner, Tomi, with Lamaze Toys, is looking at doing a virtual baby shower. And we are just exploring this, but would love to know if there's any educators who have had parents in their class who have done this kind of thing, or if you yourself have participated. So take time to answer the question in the SurveyMonkey just about that. And if you're interested in participating in what we come up with, let us know too. Thanks so much, and really appreciate all the important work you're doing to serve parents in these times. Thank you.
Awesome, and I also wanted to give a special thank you to Wendy Tree Shipper. She's been really instrumental in making all these workshops come to life. And thank you to all of you for attending as well today and your active participation. It's been wonderful. And someone there just put the SurveyMonkey link, thank you, in the chat. So you can't click on it directly from the video, but if you use that link that Marjana put in the chat, you can get there. Alrighty, thank you everyone. Stay safe, take care.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Jill. You've done so much for us.